Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Think Big with Michael Zellner. All positive, no politics. My guest today is Scotty Austin. Scotty is the former lead singer of the renowned internationally band Saving Abel. He was with the band for 8.5 years, and he is now currently heading his own solo project touring across the nation called Scotty Austin. Welcome to the show, Scotty.
Hey, thanks for having me, bud. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. So tell us something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Uh, I like to garden. I know it's weird for a rock and roller, but I like to garden. I like to grow vegetables and flowers.
How did you get into that?
Uh, I don't just just something passive and peaceful. It's the total opposite of my lifestyle. So and just I just enjoy it.
That's
My
great.
father did it, I guess. But,
So, you started in music at such a young age. You began reading music when you were in kindergarten. I mean, at the time when people are just beginning to learn how to read regularly, you were reading music. I mean, how did that happen?
oh, I mean, that's what we did in my family. Honestly, it's makes it a lot easier to learn as a child if you learn it at the same time. It becomes like a second nature by doing that. I suggest more people do it.
And you also played, I believe you played in a band in your church too.
I did. I played in a church gospel band with my family.
And you played music throughout the late 90s into the early 2000s. And, things really started happening for you when you started your own independent rock band called Trash the Brand. Within literally just a few weeks of forming that band, you were playing to packed venues, and you finally started getting the attention, from people all over the music industry. What was it about your music back then that attracted so many fans so quickly?
I think it's just believing in yourself. And I wrote a bunch of songs, and like most everyone else, it's hard to take yourself seriously. No one really likes their own stuff. You're like, is it any good? Surely it's not. But I just got to the point where I didn't really care if people liked it or not, and that's when people seem to like things. So I just think blazing your own path goes a long way.
With all that success, now even bigger things start to happen for you. Jeff Hansen, who at the time was the manager of Creed and Saving Abel, offered to manage you. And when you guys were working out the deal, you asked him to include you on the show that weekend in Memphis. The Saving Abel actually was playing. You got the opening spot. That was pretty ballsy there, Scotty. To when you're negotiating to say, hey, this is what I want, along with you managing me, but I want to be on this the gig this weekend with Saving Abel. Did you just feel like that you had to take the chance and you just had to go for it?
Man, I just didn't care. I didn't care. It's like I'm just happy making music at that point. Like I wasn't even considering success of it. It's like, okay, well, I'm happy doing this. And I'd been through the music business so long, I was kind of jaded at that point. Like I'm
Right.
making music because I love it. I didn't care if anyone else in the world loved it. I mean, I'm grateful that people do. Do not get
Sure.
me wrong.
Right.
And that's what I told Jeff. It's like, well, I mean, if you want to be my manager, this is what I want. And Jeff, being the bad dude that he is, he made that happen instantly.
Yeah.
Actually, Jeff is managing me again now with my
Oh,
solo
great.
project.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
we just got back together.
And your big move obviously paid off. A few days after the show, you were asked to be the front man for Saving Abel, and you accepted it. What was going through your mind when that happened?
Man, it was such a whirlwind. It was fear, uncertainty, uh, refuse to lose. I guess it's like I decided I was like, I don't know, I don't think I can do this, but I'm not going to tell them. I'm going to
Right.
make them have to fire me. So I was like, I'm going to try as hard until they tell me I can't do it. So I just kept trying, and time just kept passing. So we
Well,
just moved on.
and it's 2013. Your career now is taking off big time. You're touring around the country with a major band. You're the lead singer playing in big venues. This had to be, a pretty surreal and exciting moment for you there.
Absolutely, absolutely. It was crazy. I mean, I always played guitar before that. That's the first time I stood on stage holding just a microphone, and You can tell it in some of the earlier videos because when they got to the guitar solos, I was kind of like Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights. I didn't know what to do with my hands. I'm just like,
Right.
what do I do here? I don't know what to do. So, but now I'm a lot more comfortable naturally after thousands of shows. But
You know, a
it's
lot
a
of people
pretty
don't.
crazy time.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people probably that don't play music don't realize how hard that has to be for someone who plays the guitar and sings at the same time to all of a sudden going from not playing at all and just singing, right? Figuring out what to do with your hands, maybe what to do with your feet, you know, moving around. It's a lot different, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. The guitar was a total crutch that I could hide behind. So, but I do love playing the guitar. It's one of my favorite things in the world. It always has been, and it still is.
How did the guys in the band, you know, make you feel when you joined them? I know Jared Weeks had, you know, been the lead singer since the inception back in, you know, 2004. And sometimes change and transition, you know, can be hard. Will you welcome in right away from everybody?
They were super kind, great guys, all of them, and we're still friends now. I mean, that's why we lasted so long. We didn't think that it would actually run that long, but we hit it off. This is good Southern boys, same taste in music,
Right.
rock and roll, good country. The things that we got. I don't know. We just have a lot in common.
What is the hardest part about being in the music industry?
Not letting people that think they know what they're talking about convince you that they know what they're talking about. I believe that's the hardest thing. It's everybody's an expert, and the reality is that no one knows shit how to do any of it. I mean, if they knew how to make a hit song, they'd put one out every single day. It's a magic. There's no guaranteed way it works. And there's always people that think they do and trying to rip you off and convince you to let them make the money, and so on and so forth. The oldest story in the book, I guess.
Right. You know, you said of the guys from Saving Abel, quote, they're the most down to earth, cool guys that I've ever had the pleasure of being in a band with. Tell us a little bit about the band.
uh, uh, Me and Jason and Noel, we still talk on the regular. He's the main songwriter and band leader. Scott Bartlett, fantastic lead guitar player. He practices every single day. So if anybody's out there is wondering how you do it, follow from Scott Bartlett's lead. He practices every day. Still, this many years later, as a pro guitar player, he still practices every day. And there's been many players throughout that I could go on about, but one thing we all have in common is we're just one big family, really, of rednecks that play rock and roll.
Right. You know, I got a chance to meet Scott back in the late 90s. I had a little live music bar on the Highland Strip here in Memphis called The Library. And Scott and a couple guys used to play in a little acoustic band like almost every Wednesday night. And he was going to Rhodes College at the time. And so got to know him pretty well over the years. And I could say even back then, he was meticulous. He was really, he took what he did seriously, but he never took himself too seriously.
Yeah, he does not. He doesn't fool around when it comes to playing guitar. He lives and breathes it. So, only positive things to say about him. And like I said, I live for playing the guitar, and I always have. And I consider myself a fantastic one. But he is great,
Right.
and I don't say that lightly.
Right. You know, after 8.5 years, you know, with Saving Abel, last August, you decided to go out on your own. What led you to that decision?
I mean, a lot of things led us all to that decision, but we wasn't able to get songs on the radio anymore. We wasn't charting. We just, it's just time for a change. And that's what we've done. There's no telling if we play together again, which is very possible. Like I said, we're all still friends, but we're not discussing anything like that. I've charted now with a new release. And I've released the Rebel Yell, Billy Idol's Rebel Yell, and it's charted for me on secondary markets, which and the first song that I've had chart since 2015 or 16. So it's positive for everyone. And Jared Weeks came back to the band, so they're still out there kicking butt.
Right.
You know,
You know,
we're all happy.
The music business, I think you know this when you talk about how people that think they know so much about it. I got a taste of it for a few years, 20 years ago. And I loved the music business. I hated the bar business, but I loved the live music business and had several bands that were up and coming at the time that, got pretty big. And so it was just a fun thing to do. But I noticed in talking to a lot of bands over the years that a lot of it, not that I discuss politics here, but a lot of it does get political, doesn't it?
Yeah, idiots. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like the reason I listen to music is to escape all of those woes of the
Right.
world. That's the reason I write music. It isn't to have somebody preach their stupid views on me, which, I mean, most of the time, I mean, we're musicians. We don't count past four. We're rock and rollers. You know what I mean? I mean, like, are we going to tell you how to vote? I don't think so. It's not my decision to make. And hell, I'm too busy making music and trying to stay out of jail to be worried about politics.
Right. Absolutely. You once said that Paul Rogers is your favorite rock and roll singer. Freddie Mercury said that he liked Rogers' aggressive style, and John Mellencamp back in 1991 said that he was the best rocker he had ever heard. What made him so good?
That attack, man. Like when you can play, it's a being a rock singer. Oh, you there? Hey, sorry, I
Okay.
just got my low power warning. Go figure. But being a rock singer, it's like people break out an acoustic guitar. It's real easy for someone to go, "Here of you." It's a lot harder to go, "Hey," you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It comes from the balls, man. It comes from the soul. I sing with authority and passion. It ain't about being a good singer. It's about singing what you feel from your heart, full on. And I try to encompass that myself. I'm a little fella, but I sing hard as hell.
You've
It
started
makes
your
me rock and
solo.
roll.
Right, and your solo project obviously started in the studio working with legendary multi-platinum producer Malcolm Springer. He's worked with big artists such as Matchbox 20, Collective Soul, Eric Clapton, Isaac Hayes, and many more. What's it been like working with him?
He is a magician. He's fantastic, and he can. I don't know. I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of really big producers since the Saving Abel thing, and and something about Malcolm is just special to me. He can get the best out of your voice without like attacking you. He'll convince you. It's like, hey man, he'll just get you sidetracked talking about some ridiculous story or something. Next thing you know, you're taking a walk, and then you're back in there singing again, and he didn't realize he was trying to do something. So he's just fantastic. Malcolm's been responsible for a lot of my career though, because he got me my first record deal years ago with another group called Supernova Syndicate I was in that he recorded, and he showed me a lot about how to be a rock star, I guess you would say.
Right.
There's more to it than just the music. There's a business, there's image, attitude, swagger. That's the things that nothing can be overlooked. If you want to do something professionally, you have to work at it in every aspect. Don't just fall in your lap like a lot of people seem to think happens in the music industry. Like they're going to go get a gig at the local bar and get discovered and get rich overnight. I mean, the first thing happens when you get a record deal is the work is just now starting.
Right.
So it isn't time to kick back and lay by a pool and party. It's just now time to get to work. So
You
he's
know, you
instilled in me the ability to work all the time, and I still do it to this day. And that was 20 years ago.
in this past February, you talked about you released the song "Rebel Yell," which originally was performed by Billy Idol. What made you want to do a remake of that song?
Malcolm picked that one.
Ah, cool.
He was like you would. He's like you would do great at it, and I guess he was correct. People seem to really like it. I mean, I'm a big Billy Idol fan. I just think he was way beyond his time.
Right.
I mean, he was so far. I mean, that's why he's kicking ass now. I mean, time is music is just now catching up with him, if you ask me. But he's a he's kind of like the next Elvis figure. He had all of it going on. You don't know anything about his personal life. You just know he's a badass, and the women loved him. He's got the limb curl and a bunch of kick ass songs. when we were
Right.
with Saving Abel, I would do a pinch of a White Wedding during a deep album cut during our show, and every time I would get to that White Wedding, the crowd would go crazy. I mean, like crazy every time. It was like clockwork. I was like, well, and Scott Bartlett, he was always saying, "Man, we should cover a Billy Idol song because I have a natural tendency to. I know it's mathematical and musical, but I go down to the flat seven at the at the end, and of phrases a lot. He's like, that's that Billy Idol roll. And as soon as I went in there with Malcolm, Malcolm's like, hey man, we got to cut this song, and I trust Malcolm because, well, I mean, he's a big dog, and I'm really glad I did because I think the song came out fantastic too.
Absolutely. I went and listened to it on Spotify and everything, and you nail it. I mean, it's an awesome version of it. So if you have not gone on and listened to it on Spotify or any of the other platforms, you need to go check it out because it's really good. So yeah, you definitely do a great job at it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Malcolm kicked ass on it, man. The bass tone during the bridge was unbelievable during the breakdown section. Like crank it up, man. Just listen to that bass tone that Malcolm has built somehow. Magical. Makes a lot of difference. Good production is everything.
In March, you find out that, you're the number 2 fastest growing new artist in the country at the time. You said of your fans, quote, y'all continue to amaze me. When I dropped my song, I didn't do promotion or use a publicist. I didn't pay to have it spun or nothing. I didn't want to have all this fake boost and fake fame. I wanted to see how many people actually went out to hear my music and follow my solo project. I released it to radio and all the streaming platforms for my friends and fans. And today, I can say we've hit 100,000 hits. We have 20,000 monthly listeners in just 3 weeks. All of that is amazing because you said you had just an amazing fan base. You never realize how many people have your back and support you until moments like this. You said, thank you so much. That's a really
That is a
heartfelt
fact.
message. That's
That's a
heartfelt.
fact.
Yeah, I can tell you really appreciate and cherish the people that listen to your music and your fans, don't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, being an artist, we're insecure anyway, just like everyone else. I just think of the kind of person it would take to like the sound of their own voice. Think of the mindset it would take for somebody that
Right.
would like the sound of their own voice. What a terrible human being that would be. So, like everyone else, I don't want to leave a voicemail. I don't even like hearing my recordings because I'm like, oh my God, listen to that guy singing. Oh Lord, that's me. I mean, but I do it because I love doing it, and I'm very grateful that people listen to it and that people like it. Music is relative to your moment in time, I guess. Is like like some of my favorite singers are not considered great singers. I mean, they're not going to win prizes and be picked first for a choir class. I mean, could you imagine the guy in ACDC in a choir? Yeah, no. But when you put it over that electric guitar, it's perfect. And it just paints a picture, and then you hear a song, and it puts you right back at a moment in time again. Maybe that you heard it. That's why people have a hard time discovering new music as they get older, because they start. It's easy to, reminisce with the music that you knew then or whatever time frame. Like, oh yeah, that's a song I heard the first time I ever kissed a girl or something. Just anything of that nature. Just to remind you, music is like a ghost, a beautiful ghost.
Tell us about Drew Lines and the single 15 Minutes of Fame and how that came about.
He picked that song himself, and came to us and asked if we'd be interested in doing that. And of course we are. I mean, we wasn't doing anything with the song, and he really liked it. We did like the song. We always thought it was a great concept for a song. Jason came with that one, and it was like, man, that's cool. And we did it, but it was a little industrial for the Saving Abel fans' taste,
Right.
But obviously, it's going over great with Drew's people. He's done some charting with it, and the younger kids seem to really like it. It's very, I don't know, it's industrial. I mean, I guess. But Malcolm did that version of it, and the music is ridiculously cool as usual with Malcolm.
Right. What is the most exciting thing about having your own solo project?
Well, I get to play more songs that I wrote, I guess, whenever I choose to. I get to play some guitar now. That's about it. That's the only difference, you know. I do miss the guys at Saving Abel, but like, you know, I make music because I love it.
Right.
I'm still out making songs, and you know, I've wrote a bunch of songs along the way that I didn't get to play along the way with Saving Abel. And most people, most of the Saving Abel fans didn't even know I'm an instrumentalist. You know, I play many instruments. Singing was the last thing that I do, and they just saw me as a singer. So I get to break out the instrumentation and branch off musically. You know, with Malcolm, he's letting me do whatever kind of music I want. It's like it doesn't matter. You know, you don't if you want to. I'm in a country mood or a classical mood or a Latin mood. It doesn't matter. We can record it. So I'm enjoying that considerably.
You know,
Of course, it makes me have a tendency to get a little weird in the studio.
Right. I know you're having fun. I can tell.
I'm having a blast. You know, I got Stephen Pulley with me, my brother right there. He's been with me since Trash the Brand and all through the Saving Abel. And now he's with me still. Oh man, that partner in crime there. He's still here rocking. Can't be a good rock band if you don't have a badass rock and roll drummer.
Right.
That's the facts. Because as a songwriter, songs can go any way that you want. It's a song, it's a shell, a skeleton, you know, but you need that badass rock and roll rhythm section. It's like Malcolm said, if you can't say profanities over a drum fill, it's not a rock and roll drum fill. I would give you an example, but I don't want to say profanity right now. Right. But
right.
Use your imagination.
Yes. You know, at the end of April, you posted that someone got into your Spotify account and erased Rebel Yell, and it had over 100,000 streams and 20,000 monthly listeners at the time. And I think just after 6 weeks, you said, quote, "Haters gonna hate. It's no secret that when people succeed, others try to drag you down. Can't take away the fact that it's been continuing to chart, and then it's gotten so far strictly because of my fans and the natural growth. Thanks to whoever, but I think I'll just continue being me." Despite all of that, you're still persevering and moving forward. How are you able to stay so positive?
I mean, what else are we gonna do, man? You know, I mean, I don't know. My sister says me the same thing. I guess because I'm so completely self-centered, hate just rolls off my back. You know, it just doesn't bother me. I'm used to it, I guess. I am an official underdog, and just I'm like some kind of disease in the music industry. I just won't go away. I flare up just in time for your family portraits.
You're married, I believe, to Courtney, and you guys have is it 2 kids that you have?
I have 2 kids, and she's the stepmother of my son, Graydon, and she's the mother of my beautiful daughter, Nova.
In June, you said, quote, "I want to say I appreciate everybody who has kept up with what's going on in the Austin household. I want to say thank you to everyone who sent out prayers or good thoughts." What's going on with your family? That I know you have some, things that are going on with you guys there that you definitely need those thoughts and prayers from people right now.
But my wife, she has a pretty serious heart issue, and she's going in for a surgery beginning of September. We were going to do it a few months ago, but they postponed it. And when you have major surgery, it's really hard now with COVID going around and everything, because with exposure to that, they have to postpone surgery. So right now we're just trying to keep her safe, and she's really nervous about the whole scenario, and I'm just trying to stay positive about that. These things are a lot more important than people talking crap about me on the internet about music.
Right.
Keeps everything in perspective. What's really important, family and real people is really what the world's about, what life's about. How we can be kind to each other and try to help each other through hard times rather than break each other down. I mean, I think social media is a disease. It's destroying society because people are just so mean to each other for no reason. And it doesn't make anybody feel better about being mean to, to someone else. Actually, it makes people feel worse, and they just kind of dip into darkness and spread the hate, and then receive hate back. I mean, I believe in karma. I'm a Christian, but I do believe in karma. Good things come around, and it's not like I don't think of it as a magic. I just think if you're nice to somebody, there's a chance people will remember that and be nice back to you.
Right.
I'm just worried about my family. Hope we'll make it through it.
And you and I grew up. We grew up in the 80s and 90s. I mean, when there was no social media, there was no cell phones, and we did just fine. It was a much simpler time back then. And nowadays, people leave their house. I've talked about this on other podcasts I've done. If you leave your house without your phone, you're like, oh my God, I got to have my phone. I got to go back and get it, because you just feel like you're attached to it. We become so attached to things like that. And, sometimes the simpler things, I know people, that are not on all the social media platforms just because of what you said. I have had to unfollow, people that post negative things because I just don't want to see it anymore. That's why I said this is the one thing I wanted to bring out as much positivity as possible without getting.
I love what you're doing. Yeah, I mean, there needs to be more positivity in the world. I started touring with an atlas. Like, be mad. You're like, you get in the floor, you look down, you're like, who stepped on Alabama? Now we're lost. I mean, you had a flat tire where you're walking. Right. You're not calling anyone. You're walking, hoping to find a payphone. So it's a miracle that I ever toured. It's a miracle that any band ever toured back in the day. That's why there wasn't as many of them. It's a lot easier for these people to just record a song in their basement, put it out, and pretend they're famous. Right. You ain't doing the real shit. You're imaginary famous. That's imaginary fame. Get out there and travel to strange towns and not get your ass kicked in a little bar. You're doing something.
And barely make anything, if you're going to make anything at all. Maybe getting gas money, maybe getting money for food.
Hopefully.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right.
If nothing else, getting out with your life.
Right.
I played behind chicken wire before where they would throw drinks. Old school. I was very young then, though. I've been doing this since I was a child.
I'm trying to think. I remember some movie that had chicken wire or people throwing stuff at.
Roadhouse.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Roadhouse. Yeah, man.
1988. Patrick Swayze. Yeah. Or 89.
Yeah. Play behind those.
Yeah.
The downside of the chicken wire is it inspired people to throw their bottles because they're like, I ain't going to hit them.
Yeah.
It's splashing beer all night. Crazy.
What are the most important lessons that you've learned in your life so far?
Remember that family's first. And it's all thanks to God's good graces. That's the most important lessons.
I know that you have
come and go and fall down the dark path. And if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here now.
I noticed when I'm looking online, when you're talking about your wife, that you had a lot of people that responded. You have a lot of people that are, that are fans of yours and friends of yours that are praying for you guys. And, and that's just so special to see. I mean, like we talk about, there's a lot of negative. Well, then you look at that side and there's a lot of positive too, because you get a lot of support from people on there, don't you?
But see, with all these people you see, and it seems like I have a strong online fan base, but I've toured around. I've talked to all of these people in person. We've met. They're not. I wouldn't consider them fans. I consider them all of them friends. All 1,000 of them or whatever it is, 500,000. That's usually on every post.
Right.
But it's like I literally know these people. I've met them and spoken with them, except for a small handful, and I'm sure that I will speak and meet them at some point soon, hopefully. So it's like I feel like they're not. I don't have fans. I have friends that really support me. That's because we have a lot of the same things in common. I'm a family man. And I think that's real man shit right there. I'm a rock and roller. The family comes first. I can hell raise, but I know what's important.
Right.
I'm not a piece of shit, which a lot of people in my business are. I mean,
yeah.
I think it stands out that I do show people that you can be a loyal, loving father and husband and still be a badass.
I noticed that you respond to people when they leave comments for you too. A lot of bands don't do that. You actually go on there and you try to respond to everyone that you can, don't you?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I try to. Sometimes I don't because they don't, comments don't show up in order. So sometimes they get lost in there. And I always try to make sure I at least acknowledge that someone commented to me. I appreciate it.
How can people follow you and find you and your music on social media?
Well, I mean, my Facebook probably is the one that I respond to the most. Instagram, I have Instagram, and you can go to ScottyAustinOfficial.com, my website. It keeps all my tour dates and such on there. So you can come find me, and we can meet old school, talk in person, take some pictures, say hello, share a beer or something. Heck, sit down, have a drink. I like talking to people. I like exploring. I like traveling.
You got a lot of tour dates this year. Yeah, you're touring all around.
Yeah, it ended up being a lot more than we expected. It really took off for us. We're expecting to do more next year.
That's awesome.
This weekend, this coming up weekend, I'm on my way to Branson for a 2-day event at the Nashville Roadhouse Theater with some great friends over there. Really cool spot. We're going to go over there, do 2 days, and do some golfing in between.
That's a good relaxing thing.
Yeah, next weekend we're playing on a Carnival Cruise Line. We got a 5-day cruise. We're going to go play a show down to Cozumel, Mexico, and Costa Maya. Chill, get us some sunburns, go visit some Mayan ruins.
Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
I have not. My wife is the one that talked me into doing it. But I'm looking forward to it because we get to play a rock and roll show and we get to do that.
Well, man, you got a ton of talent, and I expect some big things from you, going, in your solo career and stuff that, you're going after it. And, I respect the heck out of that.
Well, I was hoping to have my record done by now, but it's taking me longer than I expected. I have had so many tour dates come in. It's kind of hard to, get in the studio and, travel the country so much, but I'm making it happen. But I will be releasing another single really soon.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it's an original this time and it's badass. Of course, I am a little biased.
You're allowed to be biased.
Me and Jason Noel wrote this one. Wrote this one with Saving Abel. So looking forward to you hearing it. I'll make sure that I'll let you know when it's coming so we can get on here and chat about it again. Maybe.
Absolutely, hopefully. Man. I would love to do that. Love to have you back on.
I love your positivity, and there should be more of it.
Thank you.
I'll be glad to chat with you again anytime.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on today, and my best of luck with your family and your wife and everything that come in surgery. And I'll keep you guys in my prayers.
Thank you so much. Thanks for spreading positivity, man. I mean that.
Awesome.
And everyone out there, hope to see you at the show soon.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on today, Scotty. I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Absolutely, buddy.
All right. Take care. Bye.